rules.
They just changed. Good afternoon. This is Friday, January 31st, 2025. It's about 3:40 p.m. and it is House Appropriations Committee, and we are wrapping up the Budget Adjustment Act after 3.5 pretty intense weeks. And we will take a straw poll. We have 2 members online and possibly a third joining us, and it's a straw poll means that a real vote that's going to count and be in the journal or the calendar and all that will be on Monday. But we are doing a straw poll so that our staff can go and put everything together for us. And then on Monday, we are going to come back at 1:30 and see all the pieces that we have already gone through in bits and pieces, all in one beautiful bill. And then we'll go online at 1:30 and say, here we have the bill, and then we'll go away and read it, and we'll come back and vote it out formally on that day. So that will be all of our work on Monday. And yeah, so it'd be good to be, so it's okay for people to be on screen now because we're doing a straw poll, and the House rules just changed. The previous House rules from last session expired December 31st, and the House Rules Committee has now said that you can have 3 days to vote remotely from your committee, not the floor, but you have 3 days where for whatever reason you don't have to have a reason, you don't have to give a reason. So there's only 3 days. It used to be COVID or 3 days. That's not there anymore. It's just 3 days.
I don't think it's wrong.
No, we're not counting this as one of the days. No, absolutely not, because it's a straw vote. It's not a vote. So
But straw poll was are recorded.
yeah. Nope, they're not. Okay, do I have a message? John is on Zoom. We don't see him. Hi, John. There he is.
Hey,
Great.
Jeff is driving to Maine.
Hope it's been going well over there.
wonderfully well. It's actually warm today.
Great. So I know you have missed out on the conversation this morning, so we have finally gotten through the rest of the language. We made a couple of decisions based on yesterday, just to fill you in, that we had talked about yesterday, pulling a few things in from section C in the big budget. We got clarification on them. We're pulling much of them in, but not all of them in. And we've gone through everything, and now we're ready to vote. Unless there's anything else to say, we'll have a vote, and then we'll vote in second and have a discussion. Did you want to say something before we do that?
Before we vote?
I'm going to ask for a motion and then a second, and then we'll have a discussion. Okay. So is there a motion to pass the Budget Adjustment Act? Tim? And is there a second? Tom? Okay, sorry, you don't have to write any of this down. So, discussion. Representative Harrison.
So, no, I just like to say, it's probably going to be no surprise. I am not going to support this PAA for a couple of reasons. Extending the hotel program. Now it's winter rules, which takes off some of the bumper guards at the end for another quarter. In addition, the 14 million that we're transferring the funds that we meant for bonds, we might have to backfill someday in the future. And we're going to have a challenging year ahead of us, and I just fear we're not starting off on the right foot. I'm sorry we can't get there in a bipartisan way, but we're not. So I will not be voting to support this current version of the BAA.
Any other comments that people want to make? Wayne?
And I would second that thought, and my concern over the housing issue of is that, we're making we made a policy decision last year, and we're making a significant policy change now. The whole General Assembly made a policy change, and we're doing that in a different way now. I just don't fear this quite right.
Yeah, Tom.
I just want to, first of all, thank everybody for, what essentially for me has been a learning experience, the first in this committee. I support what we've done. Disappointed that we did not look at the surplus funds that we have, the whole $30 million of surplus funds, which by theory, in theory, could have been used for some of these purposes that we're talking about, if you want to separate the policy. So issues like that have been on the forefront, like housing, or taking care of indigent or homeless people who are unhoused, they're unhoused for reasons. And we have seen, to the best of our knowledge, we've seen 7 people who are experiencing homelessness when they've been removed from the shelter that's been provided have passed away. I have a hard time with that personally. And when it comes to changing the policy, we're not bound with the constitutional principle that we're not bound by the previous legislature's choices. We are allowed to change or to adjust our policies as we see fit. And so for that reason, having a homelessness issue is really low on my list of priorities, and but solving it or providing shelter, especially during the winter months, or the colder months, or even the hot months, is become really important to me personally. And I think as Vermonters, it's not improper to provide a shelter as much as long as we can afford it. And I think this is a case where we, even at the level that we're funding it in the BAA, that we can afford it.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I always go into this hoping to be positive and vote yes. And I support a lot of this BAA. I'm glad of the conversations we had about many things. Even, I especially understand the concerns people had what they thought there was a cut to the childcare, which wasn't a cut. And I know that we have time. We've discussed it and tried to make attempts to make that thing work. And I think it probably will in the end. And, the reserve issues are an important part of that. I do think I agree with both Jim and with Wayne that there is a policy that we did vote on last May, and I know that didn't make everybody happy. And I think the 7-3 vote in the Human Services Committee showed that this is still a red flag for a lot of people. And I think that this legislature will probably see that. Some of them will see it as a red flag. So I think that I really am disappointed that something like this came up. We barely have given it time to really see if it works. But we just don't have, I don't see that we're going to have the money to be able to continue this thing. We did it temporarily, and then we finally reverted back to what had been previous to the COVID situation. It made sense during COVID. And I think that now we have to sit down and face the reality of where our financial responsibilities are, because we have a lot of things we'd all like to spend money on. And there's a lot of things out there that need attention, education and healthcare and other things. So I think we really need to go and I think we're giving a member of our body a chance to get up and explain that this is warehousing people once again. So I really think that we don't want to do that, but that's what I think we're likely to see. So I just really would like to be positive, but I just don't see it.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you like most of the bill. I think that's where I think that's where everybody has landed, and some people have their lines in the sand, so I appreciate you sharing what yours is, Lynn. That's, and Tiff, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah. I hear what you, the three, of you have said, and it's very, it is really disappointing not to be able to all of us embrace the BA, because we worked hard on it, and it's a good bill. We make policy decisions within a context. And so the policy decision that we made last year was made in a context of a budget and revenue projections that actually have far exceeded what we anticipated. And our BAA offers a lifeline or relief to state employees, emergency assistance for nursing homes and other service providers. It trues up losses in many departments, and in the FY26 budget, it anticipates committing $77 million to mitigate property tax hikes for Vermonters. We're rolling $144 million into FY26. This appropriation is $1.8 million, and it'll enable us. I want to remind us that last year, when a lot of people were unhoused in April, the governor then stood up several shelters very quickly that didn't, except for the one in Burlington, attract very many people, partly because it was hard, they were hard to get to at an enormous cost. This is 1.8 million. We're housing 17 families right now in a shelter that the administration set up. And it's cost $3 million. To my mind, this is a bargain. And I don't think anybody is a fan of this program and sees this as an answer. The Human Services Committee is developing a legislation right now to try to address this issue within the context of all that we know now. And I guess I especially support this because the people who, it is not just about providing the housing that folks who are in it, but it is also helping protect the institutions in our communities, like our schools, our emergency departments, our police, from and being overwhelmed, as they have been, certainly in my community. And I guess, given all of what we have done to provide relief in so many areas, I can't not provide this 1.8 million to this group, to our communities. So I appreciate that this is hard, but I feel that we can do this. So speak right now.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else want to say, Mike?
I just want to acknowledge that I do have constituents that are concerned about the emergency housing program, and who will probably not be thrilled about our decision to extend it. Certainly, I understand there's a lot of people that are concerned and think we should do it, but I definitely in my community hear about this program frequently about, is this the right way to be managing this? I'll say for myself, I'm comfortable going back to my community to say that I think this is a responsible overall budget adjustment. I feel very comfortable with the amount we're carrying forward, and I think the cost is reasonable within this entire picture, but I certainly acknowledge I have people concerned about it in my community as well.
Anybody else have any comments that they want to make before we vote? Okay. Yeah, John, go ahead.
Sure. So, along with Mike, and I'm not just saying this because Mike said this here, but I've had constituents.
The mics.
Excuse me, which one? Yeah, Mike Nygro. I'm not saying this just because Mike mentioned it here, but I've had constituents ask me about this, not a lot, but enough times. I'm just aware of, their concerns that, is there a better solution than what we've been trying to do here for, I realize, and I understand, the issues here as well, with trying to, provide, emergency shelter for folks through a winter time here. It's cold. It snowed last May. May 1st, I remember going to a select board meeting in Bloomfield. I drove through a snowstorm. And so I am 110% on board with everything that we have checked off on our list in BAA and we have closed on here. I wasn't present this morning here I don't know if any conversation was held in committee here in regard to, the GA extended cold weather through June.
No, we did not.
Okay.
This is it.
Yeah, so this is it. And I'm not a big fan of continuing to extend things along in a temporary fashion. And those of you in the room have more history background with me in the legislature having to try and answer this question here for yourselves and vote on these things one way or the other and provide explanations to your constituents here. It's not the end of the world to me if this goes through here with, is it 1.8 or 1.9 TIF? Is that what that one line item is?
1.8, yeah. Yeah, 1.84.
1.84.
Okay, 1.84 here. I guess the one thing I wish I had more time to think on here a little bit is I wasn't anticipating, the 14 million coming from the Mike P check.
Yeah.
To handle that block of things when it did. So, and I really highly appreciate what Mike said about his willing to do that versus paying down on what he described yesterday in testimony. And because I have high regard here for Mike in that regard, I wish I had more time to think about what else we might think about with that 14 million. I'm not objecting. I'm not in objection to all those items on there, but I just wish I had more time, Robin, to be honest with you.
Yeah, okay.
It kind of came at a time, being a new member on this team right here, and we're a team. I think we've worked really well together here and had some good conversations about things.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, I'd like to kind of mull on that 14 million a little bit more through the weekend because this is a straw poll here today.
Yes, it is.
To kind of get a sense of that. And I'd like to think through a little bit more about that part of things. So if this is what we're proposing here today for a straw vote, my concern is with the 14 million.
Yeah.
Is there something else that we ought to be substituting in that, perhaps with a little bit more of a compromise here to aid the treasurer? And those are my thoughts.
Thank you.
Here,
I will tell you that it was late in large part because we wanted to see, and I had no advanced knowledge of what the governor was going to have in his budget. And
sure.
So sometimes we don't even get the budget before we have to put out the BAA. That's happened in other years.
Right.
This year we had a couple of days. So that's why it happened in the time frame.
Right. And you explained that to us as well.
Yeah.
So, and I realize these things can come at the last minute, but we do have the weekend to kind of think about this here a bit.
Yes, yes, you do. We'll straw poll today and then we'll have a formal vote tomorrow on Monday. So yes. Yeah.
So those are the concerns I have with this. I think we could use that 14 million differently.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we?
Robin, may I?
Oh, yes, Dave.
I couldn't find my digital hand, so.
Your hand, your
I've been looking all over for it. I gave up finally. Yeah.
I guess I should have used mine.
Well,
No,
no,
it's good. It's fine.
I genuinely and deeply respect everybody's opinion. We may not agree, and I don't with several folks, but I deeply respect your beliefs. I wasn't going to say anything, but I know I'll wake up in the middle of the night angry at myself if I stayed silent. And just briefly, I know there's over 400 children living in hotels as we speak, and that weighs on me. I'm sure it does all of you, but it weighs on me to the point that I know if the program ends, should end at the end of March, many of those children will be moved out of the school that they're in now for obvious reasons. There'll be such displacement. And if I can do anything to prevent that, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing, especially given that we have the capacity to help. I'm not a fan of hotels. For some reason, I think we could have done something different over the last several years, but I'm confident, I really am. I'm confident and hopeful that we'll have a different model for helping folks in this predicament in the future. But right now, at this moment, I want to make sure those families get some help. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Mike?
Just want to first of all, thank you. I really appreciated your leadership style here. You've made room for everybody. You've kept us on track. Reminded me when I'm late. I'm telling you.
Yes.
You're really effective, and I want to thank everyone else here. A pleasure to be a part, and it feels gratifying to do this book. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we have a great committee, and I appreciate, as others have said, everybody's opinions. We will not always agree. We need diversity of thought, and because that's how we make better decisions. And at the end of the day, we can still respect one another and go on to whatever's next. So thank you all for your hard work, because everybody worked. This is definitely a team effort to put all these pieces together. I appreciate all of the work that every one of you has done. So thank you. And so, Trevor, you still get to call the roll, even though you're not taking it.
I do.
You do. Do we have a piece of paper that we can use? It's not going to go in official. Yeah. And even though it's not official, write in pencil or something.
Well, I'll just use it so I make sure I get everyone in order here. So we have a motion to approve the FY25 BAA. Representative Bloomley,
Yes.
Representative Dickinson,
We can't hear you, Lynn.
No, I'm sorry.
Representative Harrison,
No.
Representative Konsenska,
No.
Representative LaRoche,
No.
Representative Rowicki,
Yes.
Representative Nigro,
Yes.
Representative Squirrel, yes. Representative Stevens,
Yes.
Representative Yakavoni,
Yes.
and Representative Shy.
Yes.
7-4.
7. Okay. Great. Thank you all. I think we are done for the day.
So see you Sunday.
So, so we're gonna meet Monday at 1:30. And we will have the language for the bill. We'll go live. We'll say, here's the language for the bill, everybody watching public. Now we're gonna go off live and read it, and then we'll come back and I don't know if it's gonna be 4 o'clock or if it's gonna be earlier. Maybe we only need 2 hours. This is not the big bill, so we may not need as much time. And then we will vote, the formal vote, and it'll be on the notice calendar for Tuesday. It's gonna go directly to Ways and Means on Tuesday. We're gonna look at it, snip it, send it out on Tuesday. It'll be noticed Wednesday. It'll be on the floor Thursday and Friday. I'm still checking with the speaker on if we're meeting earlier on Thursday floor. Friday, after we finish with the budget adjustment, we will not come back to committee and have testimony. So you'll have the rest of Friday. Your committees or do whatever you need to do. at that point. And so please be available, just keep your phones around in case Joint Fiscal has any questions for you over the weekend. Just check your phone once in a while, please. Because they'll be working.
Thursday, 1 o'clock, rather.
Yes, it wouldn't be Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon. It might be 2 o'clock. I don't know. I'm going to check with the speaker. They were not available when I went up earlier. Jim, do you have any other thoughts on what people ought to be doing for FY 26 or this?
I just think start reaching out to your departments, try to schedule a preview if you can. Sometimes that means being at 8 o'clock or doing a Teams meeting on a Monday, or a meeting over lunch hour, you know, when you can. Sometimes you have to excuse yourself from here. It's helpful that they do, and there may be some areas you have that are, you know, maybe relatively smaller in scope that we don't need to take, and it's pretty straightforward. We don't need to take many time for everybody. If you say, you know, look, it's, you know, it's a $150,000 appropriation, it went up 3% for last year. I looked through it, asked questions, and it's pretty straightforward. Less people have questions. I don't know that we need to, you know, take an hour of the committee's time to do that. But that's up to you. It just helps us, you know, in terms of how many Mondays and how late we have to work on some of the other days. Because we need, on the fiscal year 26, we've had quite a bit of discussion on the BAA. We need a lot more discussion on all the various parts, because it's going to be challenging going forward.
And crossover is March 21st, so that's our next straw poll. And we have a lot to do between now and then to even just untangle the budget. So anyway, if you have any questions about anything, let us know. Otherwise, thank you very much. Good job, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. See you Monday.